This here is called a feather stick. It can be life-changing and life-saving in a wet weather environment. What's up guys, Dan Woak from Coalcracker Bushcraft here today, coming with a little survival wet weather fire tip for everyone out there. So in a wet weather environment, we can collect wood. The problem is a lot of people say, well, the wood is wet. But the trick is the inside of the wood is not wet. So we need to get inside there. We can split it with an axe or baton it with a knife. And then once inside, we have dry gold or dry wood. Dry gold sounded better for the video. Now with that dry wood, we can create small material, something that we can light with a lighter, matches, or even a ferrocerium rod. And how we create that small material is by utilizing our knife and carving down what we call feathers or shavings. Now shavings, we can shave right off the stick. That's usually my preferred method. Feathers require a little bit more finesse with your knife, but if it's really wet and you have nowhere to collect those shavings as they fall off the stick and you shave them, just leave them on the stick. And that is where a feather stick comes into play. So as I draw my knife down along the piece of wood like this, I'm creating this fine material. And while I'm sitting on my shelter with a wet ground around me and maybe even snow under me, all the shavings are staying right on the stick that we're carving. So as I finish up one, I could put it off to the side on top of my backpack, or I can even hold it and start my second stick. Now I can create as many of these as I feel I'm going to need in order to have enough small material in order to dry out that wet material that we're gonna collect out there in nature. But I wanted to show you something, and this is the little trick for today. And that is, a lot of times if we make these, people wanna put them down on the ground, and then we're gonna build our fire, lay around it. Totally acceptable, I get it, right? But when we lay this down on the ground and we struggle with our ferro rod for a while, what's happening is the moisture in the wet ground is starting to collect in this very fine material. So there's a trick. There's something that you can do to light this thing without even having to put it on the ground. And what that is you're gonna take your ferrocerium rod and you're actually going to lay it on the piece that you were just carving your feathers, and you are going to push it just down lightly into the feathers. Now it's important that you get a real good grasp on this. You don't want your ferro rod sliding forward and knocking your feathers everywhere. And then you could give it a little spark forward, and just like that, it'll light up. Now you got to make sure that you got good dry wood, right? You also need to make sure that when you're going to do this, that the feathers you carved were thin enough. Now what you can see with that demo is that that burns really quick. So you're gonna need a lot of small material in order to be able to add some wet stuff to that and get that wet stuff burning. So this is going to be somewhat time consuming. It's going to take a while. It's gonna take some patience. But in a scenario in which you need to get that fire going and it's raining, take a breath, set up your shelter. Maybe it's your T60, just saying. Relax, gather your composure, and take your time. Fire preparation is all about that. Preparation. You need to get everything in line and ready to go. So when you start to strike this bad boy, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you are done. You don't have to keep messing with it. So this was Dan Woak of Coalcracker Bushcraft. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little survival tip for everybody today, another tool for the toolbox. As always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and until the next video, stay in the woods.